Welcome back to the Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Media Day here in downtown St. Louis. We're at the Enterprise Center. Harry Schrader, glad to be with you today on ValleyHoopsInsider.com. That's Bowen Born on the bow tie. Tell me about that selection, that style selection.
I've been going with it, recently. I've had a couple weddings and a couple events that I've started to go with the bow tie, Bowen, I had to pull it out today.
He's with the Northern Iowa Panthers. I don't know if I bothered to say that when we started. We chatted a couple of weeks ago and got to know each other a little bit then. You guys, true confession, I voted you guys number one in the league, and you ended up, I think, coming out second. I haven't really studied what they handed out to us. Talk about that place, meaning being in the upper echelon of the league in the preseason poll.
Yeah, I think the preseason polls, you can kind of, go both ways with it. You can take the approach of, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's the approach that I like to take. But there's also the approach of there's a lot of respect and there's a lot of valuable opinions. And I think you can use that as you have earned a lot of respect throughout the league. And so I think it's good to take it both ways, but I always like to look at it like it's a preseason poll for a reason, and you still have a lot of work to do. That a lot can happen throughout the Valley season and through the non-conference stuff, to put yourself in the correct position to get a regular season conference championship. And so I like to take a little bit of both perspectives, but definitely, like to realize that there's still work to be done, and that there's still a lot of things that you have to do regardless of how you're voted in that preseason poll.
We talked a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to ask you what are the things that you are working on, particularly in your particular game? Obviously, your team has team goals and all that, and we all have that. My play doesn't matter, but what are you working on personally?
A big thing for me this summer to kind of figure out was being more selective with my shots. Having Nate, having Jacob, Hudson transfers coming in. So having a little bit more around you, I don't have to be as forceful with some of my shots, and I don't have to be as forceful with trying to make a play every single time. And so kind of allowing myself to kind of dial my play back a little bit and be more selective and make the right play and not forcing as much, because I think last year there was a little bit of forcing, because I felt like on the floor a lot of the times, I was the number one scoring option, and I still like to take that approach, but also realizing I'm going to have Nate, I'm going to have Huddy, and then I also have these guys that now have a whole nother year of experience under their belt. They have all improved so much. And so, working on trusting my teammates more and being more willing to be a kind of pass first. I don't know if you say pass first, but a pass more type of point guard, and really trying to get guys open and produce more as a point guard has been the biggest thing throughout this offseason for me.
You talked about Nate and Hudson, and talk about having a guy like Nate Heisey back in your lineup. I mean, he had done so much in this program already and then missed last year. Just talk about having him back in the mix.
Yeah, I think it's an accumulation of both of two things. And one of them is, having Nate back in the mix. He's an incredible defender and a great offensive player. And having him be out, he realized how much that he loves the game of basketball. And that was a big thing for him. He was never really always, hyper focused and always really wanting to get things done. But this year he's taken a huge step in that area. And then the second thing is you add him into that group with those players that got to play a lot last year. And so those guys have gained a ton of experience and are also going to be playing better. And then you throw him on the mix, and it's an accumulation of a lot of really good things.
And then you talked about Hudson, who I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think he's the perfect addition to this team. Just talk about the way he's blended in.
Yeah, he's definitely a perfect addition. He's fit right in with the culture and what we're trying to get done. And he's bought into stuff we're doing. And he's also provided some valuable insight just on some of the things that he feels and some of the things that he sees, whether it's ball screen stuff or, defensive philosophy types of things. He's a very high IQ player, and he's also just really talented. And he's going to be a guy that's, like I mentioned earlier with our interview, he's an instant impact type of guy.
So what is Coach Austin Fife going to be like?
He's a big help. Having him having him on the bench is obviously unfortunate. We would have loved for him to get to play, but wasn't in the cards for him, and that's something that he has done a really good job with. Is just adjusting to the situation at hand, and says a lot about him. That's exactly the type of guy that he is, and so having him as an extra, student coach, GA, whatever you want to call it, he's going to be a guy that, yeah, can help provide some insight to, especially our guys like Huddy, Cole, Chase Corbett, West, like all those guys that are kind of the bigger positions. He's going to be able to help them in terms of what they can see and just their improvement throughout the year.
All right, final question before we drag Titan over here. Poke comes from south of here. Just talk about him a little bit.
He's a really good shooter, and that's probably the first thing that everybody's going to notice. He's got one of the best forms that I've ever seen. It's very satisfying to look at, and so a lot of them go in as well. So he's a guy you can't leave open, and he, along with the other freshmen, are going to be guys that are going to make a difference, on the team, but also in the practice squad. I think that's one of the things that you also forget is having those guys adds a ton of depth to your practice team, and you're getting better and better each and every day because you're stacking those days with guys that are really talented and are really good players. So all three freshmen, Kyle, RJ, and Wes, they're going to be good for us, and we're really excited to see what they can do.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Go grab Titan for me. He doesn't have a bow tie. He has a tie. You had the bow tie. It's all good. It's all good. Welcome back. Good to see you again. You were, I watched the things that I guess maybe your social media people put out at you and I, and after when they interview them, they say, who's the funniest guy on the team? And everybody says Titan Anderson. Talk to me about your humor.
My humor is kind of just contagious. I'm kind of just, whenever I'm in the room, I'm cracking jokes. I'm having a good time. And it's kind of just, it's fun to do. It's fun to be around the guys and have a good time.
1 year ago, we were at, not this building, but at this event, and we talked about how you had provided energy off the bench the year before, didn't get tons of time, but when you came on, you were an impact guy. And then last year, you became like that impact guy, I think second in the league in rebounding, something like that, and double-digit scoring. Was that a satisfying season for you?
Yeah, it was satisfying, but it obviously wasn't, as a team, what we wanted to accomplish. And so then for me, it's not all that satisfying.
As things progress this year, how will your role? I know your game, right? It's not going to change, but how will your game change a little bit? Having Hudson in the middle, having some of these other guys around.
Yeah, it's just going to make things a lot more easier for all of us. So just having those guys like Nate Heisey and Jacob Hudson, they make it a lot easier for the team, and it makes us a better team.
What people may or may not know if they don't get to see you guys a lot, meaning they read box scores, right? Well, Titan Anderson got X amount of rebounds, X amount of points, but you're passionate on the floor. You're making things different virtually every time down the floor because you're going to make something happen. Talk about that mentality.
Yeah, just every time that I step on the floor, I'm going to give it my all, and everybody knows that. My teammates know that. The fans know that. So, it's a good thing to carry around. It's just when people know what to expect of you, and they'll tell you if they're not getting it. So, but they're going to get it. So just got to keep on doing that.
Talk about Coach Jake and just the reason you wanted to be at Northern Iowa and the reason you still enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, Coach Jake, he's like family to me. He's always been family. The whole UNI culture is family. And that's something that I've always really loved, is just the family aspect of the team, coaches right away. I committed, a day after, and that says something to the team and says something about the coaching stuff.
You guys have had so much success over the years. And as you mentioned, I think 14 wins a year ago, that's substandard, right, for Northern Iowa. And so talk about just the mentality of this team heading into 23, 24. I can't remember what year we're in.
The mentality is just to start the season strong and end the season strong. We kind of had a lapse last year of not of losing a couple games close, and then had a little stretch there. So just taking that stretch out of there, staying consistent.
This is a tight league, isn't it? Every team can beat every team. I was announcing a game. You guys were at Indiana State, and it was a great game. You end up losing it on the road, but and they end up like fourth, and you guys end up wherever. It's just that tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a tight race because every single team is good. I mean, every team has something different. They all show different defensive schemes, different offense. I mean, they just have great players all around.
So we were just talking to Bowen a minute ago. What makes him tick? Like, who is he? Because the guy seems so like you, passionate on the floor, but just going.
I mean, he's just such a hard worker. He's a great teammate to be around, and he's just, I mean, he's quiet off the court. On the court, he's loud. He's going to communicate. He's going to give it his all, and that's something that you can really respect out of him.
You had 2 freshmen last year. They were redshirt guys, Duax and Wolf, who just showed up, had to play, but then played very well. What do you expect from those 2?
I mean, they have another year under their belt. Like we say it a lot. They're going to grow. I mean, everybody grows year in and year out, and it's really important that they do grow. And it's been great. They've been putting in the time, the work. So I expect them to have a big year.
Appreciate your time. Best of luck this year.
Thank you.
It's Tytan Anderson of the Northern Iowa Panthers. We'll be back with their head coach, Ben Jacobson, in just a few minutes. You're watching live coverage of the Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Media Day in downtown St. Louis.